What inspired you to cricket actually in the first place?
Listen, I played cricket growing up. I played from high school. I was, captain, blah, blah, blah. So I did, like any kid in India growing up, I have a passion for cricket, right? And what happened was the person who knew me well, he basically made the connection. We got started talking. It took a little bit of time. And then, I got to a point where I said, listen, this sounds interesting. I would love to invest.
What inspired you to it? Why San Francisco? Why cricket? What inspired you to cricket actually in the first place?
Yeah, San Francisco is a longer story because I've been living here for a long time. But cricket is maybe a more interesting path, right? At the end of the day, I'm a startup investor, right? And so being an entrepreneur and being an investor, one of the things there is not to have any grand plans, but rather let the idea, if you're doing a startup, let the idea come to you and it just, things happen and ideas come. And if you're being an investor, again, same thing. You let the great entrepreneurs come in front of you and you want to be surprised and you want to be knocked off your socks, right? And so, listen, I played cricket growing up. I played from high school. I was, captain, blah, blah, blah. So I did, like any kid in India growing up, I have a passion for cricket, right? Every day after you come back from school, at least then I used to drop my bags and run to the street and play, right? And that was daily life for many, many years. So obviously a lot of passion. I follow cricket in the like when I first came here, was a complete cutoff. I was completely cut off from cricket, right? Because there's no internet, none of that stuff, right? And so my dad would actually send me newspaper clippings, right? From, Srikanth scored 100, I'd get a newspaper clipping, right? And so, but over time, it's become obviously much more connected. You can see all the matches pretty much here. They're all carried thanks to Willow and ESPN and all of that. So, just like any other Indian expat here, I've been very, very sort of plugged into cricket. So that's sort of the background. Now, again, did I want to get into owning a team? Did I want to be part of the cricketing ecosystem? No, I didn't want to, okay? Or I didn't even think about that, right? That was not something which even crossed my mind. And so what happened was, none of this is uncommon, right? For startups, if it was a startup, it would be the same way, right? So I had a person who knew me well, who also knew the founders of Willow TV and who were getting this league off the ground. And they were all parts of Times of India at that point. And so he basically made the connection and they came to my office and like any startup, they told me what they were planning to do. And we got started talking. It took a little bit of time. And then, it got to a point where I said, listen, this sounds interesting. I would love to invest. Again, it made it very easy for both them and me at some level because their office was 4 offices or 5 offices away from ours, right? So they literally walk over. And I think because of that, we just kept bumping into each other often enough that there became a degree of comfort. Then the one thing we did was, they were very nice because 2019 is when we started talking. You had the 2019 World Cup in England.
Yeah.
And so I went there, they were there. So we hung out a lot out there in London and went to a bunch of the games together. So built a relationship during that process, and then it made it all much easier, right? I was like, okay, this seems interesting. It's like something I had never thought about, but hey, this seems like something which will be fun. And honestly, like with all startups, it's not like you spend a lot of time because only so much you can predict about the future. You don't know where the startup is going, right? So I just said, okay, this seems like interesting. I would have fun doing this. And founders seem like they're good guys. And so let's just roll the dice and see where we end up, right? I think year one was really education of sorts for us in multiple dimensions. Again, to be honest, on the cricketing side, we do partner with Cricket Victoria, right? And so we do have cricketing high performance partner who understands how to run cricket operations. It's not us doing it, right? And so we really, I think our cricketing operations, like I said, are run extremely efficiently by working with those guys, right? And so I feel like a little bit we are the new kids on the block, and we embrace that. Again, coming from the startup world, we embrace that completely. We think it brings us certain advantages that we can be nimble. We don't have to follow any sort of past. We don't have a past, so we can do what feels right. We try and solve all problems from first principles. and we, so that has, and we have a good partner with Cricket Victoria that we work very well with, and so you end up where you end up, right? And so I've enjoyed it from that point of view because it's something I'm very, very comfortable with. When you start as a startup, you're competing always with big giants, right? And so you have to embrace that, otherwise you're not long for this world. And to be honest, we, first year wasn't great, like I said, because we show up at the stadium, all the IPL teams have giveaways, have flags. We have no idea this is what you do, right? And so our guys are running to the local printer, trying to get some flags printed, trying to get some hats. And so I think at least we got our in-game, in-stadium sort of act together by year 2. And on the franchise side too, I think on the cricketing side, I think we also got learned a lot in season 1. I don't think we did as well as we wanted to in season 1, obviously, but season 2 was a success for us. We were really happy to make it to the finals. We were top 2 teams in the league. And again, like you said, for not having any, really, it's a startup franchise which was breathed into existence in 2023. So, to make the 2024 finals was a pretty big accomplishment in the middle of, like you said, amazing cricketing DNA, right? And so to be able to pull it all together, huge kudos to our team.
How do you balance sort of the dual goal of building a competitive team and growing cricket footprint in the US?
Yeah, so I think we're again, like I said, we're 2 years old, right? And so there is so much we can do, and we're fairly clear that this is something which is not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over a period of time, and we have to be patient and be willing to push on it, right? And so I think there is definitely opportunities on the competitive side, like we talked about. We have a ways to go. We've got to get better. We can do this better. So after every season, we figure out what we can do. I'm sure every team looks at that, and then you hope when you get on the pitch next time, you are you do a little better, right? But I think the opportunity on the how do you grow cricket here, I think that is something which, again, we realize we really have to embrace. Again, given that we were a startup, it's been a little bit more challenging in the first 2 years because we've just been trying to get our own house in order and trying to, like I said, field a competitive product and make sure that we do all the basics right. But we feel like we've now hit a point, at least starting season 4, starting the next season, we can start to push a little bit, start to build some momentum on that dimension, right? I think there's a lot of opportunity, like you said. We've been amazed as to the interest level in playing cricket, not watching cricket. And it's not just folks who grew up in India, it is the children of people of Indian origin and children of people of other cricketing playing countries, immigrants who are here. They're all picking up as a sport. So you see the academies in the Bay Area, they're just like absolutely growing with a lot of kids. I went to an academy sort of annual day like a couple months ago. They had 300 kids, right? And so this is one of many in the Bay Area, right? And so there's a lot of opportunity to first solidify cricket with communities where people are passionate about it.
Does the home and away format make to that, and just to sort of take MLC forward also?
At this point, we're not doing home and away, right? So at this point, we do the traveling circus model, right? So we're going to play in Oakland. This year it's going to be coast to coast. We're very excited. We're playing in the Bay Area in Oakland this year. So that is exciting. And then we go to Dallas, and then we go to Florida, right? And then come back to Dallas for the playoffs. So yes, I think getting to home and away is going to be important. I do think you want to play in all these cities that have teams. That is important. The challenge in the US has always been infrastructure. So there's one thing that we can get done with MLC is actually building sort of real cricket infrastructure would be truly helpful in furthering the cause of cricket in the US. So that I think is something that we have to get to. We're not yet there. And so we are limited by the stadiums that we have available at this point, right? So what I would say is basically, I hope, in the next, let's say by the next 2-3 years, we can start playing in many more places that have teams, and that we basically can, enable more fans these places to watch games, right? In fact, it's very funny. The first season, a full 40% of the fans who came to the game actually traveled to see the game, right? I think leaving aside San Francisco, I think just having cricket in the Olympics is going to be huge. Just having people aware, because as an Olympic sport, like, again, listen, during the Olympics, you and I watch sports that we don't watch the remaining 3-4 years, right? So it just, people are more open during the Olympics to watch sports. And I think it's a great time to introduce your sport to other people, to people who never have seen the sport. I'm hopeful the US will play, so there'll be the natural, US support base for and people will tune in just because the US is playing. And so I think just that is going to be huge for us, right? And so the question really is then, the cherry on the frosting on the cake would be if we can actually have games in San Francisco. I don't know that.
Given your background in tech and AI, how much do you embrace data in building a team and carrying it forward? And maybe even understanding which players to get.
Like you said, we are very tech, like we've tried to build this franchise from first principles, right? Like we'd build any startup. And in today's world, trying to build a startup without leveraging the data and making it data first and AI first is not a smart thing to do. So we absolutely have made our team, and again, that helps a lot that we don't have any other constraints, right? We had a newborn here, we can do what we want. And so it helps a lot to be able to embrace it. And so we are absolutely data first, AI first at this point. I think we are pushing the envelope on a lot of how these things are applied to cricket. And, we like to believe that you saw some of that on the results last year, but we'll see how it plays out this year, right?
Can you give me examples of how data and AI are applied from your perspective?
If you look at it, you will see that player selection is very amenable to data science, okay? And so it's obviously a very complicated problem because it's not done in isolation. Players have to come together as a team. And so if you pick one player, then, it's almost what you want changes, right? So it becomes a very complicated problem very, very quickly. And so player selection and there is a humongous amount of data associated with each player, right? And so it is fundamentally a data science problem as to how you pick a player, how do you pick the set of players you want to put together, how you pick your playing 11. So you have that whole sort of, auction strategies. And if you're doing auctions, in our case, our domestic draft is somewhat complicated. So we have some, we have, again, possibilities there that you can do. Then you have potentially in-game strategies, right? How do you think about things like you're the 10th over here, this is the score, how many wickets, what should be of best, target score. So there are a lot of that also which are possible. And then I think you just have, again, you can keep going deeper and deeper because theoretically today with AI, you sort of with humans can also be really sort of amplified with AI, right? So for example, if bowler X is bowling to batsman Y, right? And you're the bowling coach, what line should they be bowling? What length should they be bowling? All of that, right? Is what the bowling plan is, right? AI can help dramatically with that, right? Because it can look at all the balls that batsman has played and tell you, okay, this is where the strengths are, this is the weaknesses. And so I think what you see right now is basically that a lot of this has been done by, I would say, the first level of data analysis. AI is sort of the next level, and so it is completely new territory. I wouldn't claim that we have, sort of figured it all out, but I think we are starting that journey, right? And I think most teams should be starting that journey at this point because it is going to be opening up a lot of new avenues as to how you play the game, And I think you need the most important thing again, and this is less about our team, this is about pretty much any data science or AI operation. You need to have a match, or let me say a harmony between the data and the humans, right? And so in cricket in particular, if the coach says, listen, I don't believe in all this data crap, I believe in my intuition, Well, that's fair, right? That's fair. But then you don't have much room for data at that point. There's no point running data analysis because the coach is not going to care about it, right? Or the
Yeah.
players are going to care about it, or the captain is not going to care about it. You need a lot of buy-in. You need a lot of willingness to figure this thing out. And so those are all areas that take time and take learning, and that typically is why teams don't adopt data.
I mean, you mentioned that not everyone would be data aware or willing to use data all that much. At the grassroots level, where there is not enough data available, where you're sort of building upwards, what is Unicorns' strategy about building a team for the long haul?
So when we first started, right, the question was basically, do you think having a really strong international group of players would make the difference, or would the quality of your local players make the difference, right? And if you look at IPL today, I think I would say in the IPL, your local player quality, because there are 7 of them, is what drives success or failure, right? Your international at the fringe can sort of, what I'm saying, make the difference. But if you have a flawed sort of Indian player pool, you cannot paper that over with internationals, right?
Correct.
And so I think our world is slightly different because we have up to 6 internationals and 5 locals, right? But also, just to be very honest, the quality of the 7, whatever, the Indian talent is just obviously the best in the world, right? So we don't have that same degree of talent. So it was an interesting question. How would this play out, right? So for us, I think I would say that we've ended up with a very, very strong, or to our belief, with one of the stronger local teams, local players, from a franchise point of view. And so we're excited. That's sort of what we feel is our core to build on, right? And we've got guys like Sanjay Krishnamurthy, who was a rookie who we signed in 2023. In fact, there was a separate rookie draft, and we picked him in the rookie draft, right? But Shane Watson was so blown away by him that last year he came in 1 down, right? And he was a revelation, right? He now plays for USA Cricket at the age of, I think, 22 or something, right? So super excited by someone like him. The other one we absolutely love is Hassan Khan. Hassan Khan was the under-19 Pakistan captain, and he's moved to the US, and really was the best domestic player in all of MLC last year, right? I feel like, and Corey Anderson, of course, is an international player who's our captain, who's a local player but has played for New Zealand, and has the DNA of playing international cricket. So we feel like we've got a really strong core of local players around whom we can build. And again, our internationals were also really exciting. We had Pat Cummins last year, who we were super excited to have. Again, unfortunately, he can't be there this year because of the Australia-West Indies Test series. But he was a real leader, right, in every sense of the word. Yeah.
Lastly, where do you see MLC and the Unicorns 5 years from now? And maybe more importantly, what would success look like for you?
Cricket has to, pull its weight at that point, right? And that's all we can do. And so I'm hopeful that if we do that, we can end up at a very, very successful point in 5 years. But I think this is a long, all said and done, this is a long-term journey. Soccer took 20 plus years to really, maybe even more than 20. They started in 1970, right? And the Pele and Cosmos.
Cosmos,
right? And so it's taken a long time. So sports takes a while, but the good news here, like I said, is we have 2 things which are unique, which I think really help us, right? One is we have a population of Indian immigrants and other things who are very passionate about cricket. So we've got at least a beachhead where we can start to focus on. And 2, I think this is something which is a subtle point, but most people don't understand, is the cricket seasons are very short. So the IPL season is 2 months long? MLC is 4 to 6 weeks long, right? And so what this does is it allows the best players in the world to play in multiple leagues. This is
Yeah.
not true in any other sport in the world, right? So if you look at MLS, the problem for MLS is you could never get the best players in the world to play in MLS, the American soccer league, right? So the best players wanted to play in Europe because that's where the money was, right?
Yeah.
So you'd only get the older guys who are pretty much in the last legs, or you would get your local guys who are not known commodities, right? But for us to get a Pat Cummins in the peak of his career to come in the US and play, that is amazing, right? And so these guys come in with their own star power, their own sort of way to attract fans and so on. And so that, I think, is also very unique. And that combination is what gives me hope that we can potentially, get to a very interesting point in 5 years, because we don't have to wait for it's not all about saying we're going to have to get not the best players in the world, but you're actually saying, okay, I am going to get the best players in the world. And the best players in the world, no matter where you put them, people will come to see them, right? So outside of the Indian players, everybody else is available to us, right? And so that's the thing. All the players, like this year we'll have Rashid Khan. You have guys who all got name brands, right? You have to invest in the first few years, and the first chance of breaking even for us is when we get the second media deal, right? And so it's all this game at some level. The way I would describe it is you try and pay your bills with everything we do, like ticketing sales, sponsorships, and so on. And so I think you have to earn your way there. And so that for us is the big that is sort of the big swing point at some level, right? That the inflection point. That's what will decide where we go, right? If we're able to really get interest and we're able to build a great media sort of property here for a media company to want to take on, I think then that makes it very interesting overall.
Thank you so much for giving your time.
Thank you so much, Tanuj.